Continuing on in the series, The Ultimate Guide to Indie Authors and Selling More Books, today we're going to be exploring book marketing for authors that are broke. What actually does work? Think you need a deep pockets to sell more books? Well, think again. Most indie authors don't have a big budget, but that doesn't mean they can't market effectively. In this episode, I'm sharing free and low-cost book marketing strategies that actually work. No fluff, no gimmicks, just real tactics to boost your book sales without breaking the bank. I know a lot about this because that's exactly where I started out in the business. Hey, before we do jump into things, did you know that winning a book award isn't just about bragging rights? It boosts your credibility, increases book sales, and helps you stand out in a crowded marketplace. But let's be real. Finding the right awards, applying and keeping up with deadlines, well, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a full-time job in itself. That's where Book Award Pro comes in. I've won over 42 book awards across 12 publications, and I can tell you firsthand, awards matter. Book Award Pro makes the entire process easy. It finds the best award opportunities for your book, submits them for you, and even helps craft award-winning submissions. Whether you're an indie, traditional, or hybrid author, this is a game changer. Want to get your book the recognition it deserves? Check out my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. Take the guesswork out of winning awards and let Book Award Pro do the heavy lifting for you today. Again, that's dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. Okay, so wow. It's a rather loaded statement. And he's saying, okay, I've got some tactics that are no fluff. This is going to work for you. This is fantastic, and it's going to save you some money. So I have walked that path, and to a certain extent, I still use a lot of these options, even though I've got the budget for premium options. But let's walk it back. Let's just think about someone who has little to actually no money. Let's say you're just dead broke, you don't have any money. So let me just give you 5 options for book marketing, and I'm going to give you 5 free ones, and then I'm going to give you 5 inexpensive options. Now, inexpensive is a loose word here because I understand there's going to be some people that's like, if it's above a penny, Dale, I can't swing it. I totally get it. So let me give you the free options first, and that way, if for some reason after the first free options, you're like, I'm set on the 5, inexpensive ones. Cool, you can go ahead, peace out. But I'm going to tell you, you may want to hear me out because there are some of these cost-effective options that will work out for you. I started out with number 1, email marketing. I think everybody's, I hear just eyeballs rolling everywhere. Oh my gosh, here we go. Dale's going to talk about email marketing again. Well, that's the thing, folks. You can do email marketing 100% free. In fact, I did use free services for the first several years of being an author. I did get some premium ones, and I found that those just weren't doing it. They weren't cutting it. But then when I went to the free ones, those actually did the work. Now, you can find free email marketing services through MailerLite, AuthorLetter, or Kit. Now, I'm going to mention those 3 because there's other ones like MailChimp and GetResponse, but I'm going to say that MailerLite, AuthorLetter, and Kit all have a free subscription model. For MailerLite and AuthorLetter, you're allowed up to 1,000 subscribers. Now, this is not to say that when you get the services, they're going to give you 1,000 subscribers. You have the ability to have up to 1,000 subscribers. For Kit, it's 10,000 subscribers. Yeah. Now, Kit used to be formerly known as ConvertKit, but now it's called Kit. Now, I'm going to say my personal preference is MailerLite, but I've been using it for a number of years. There's a steep learning curve, so be prepared for that. And by the time you hit 1,000 subscribers for any of these services, you should get to that point to where you can monetize your email marketing, that you can start selling more books, that you can start doing sponsorships, that you can do affiliate marketing, things like that from within your email service provider that will justify that price tag every month. But all that to say this, that free accounts, you can do it. Now, you will use this email list as a way to collaborate with other authors. Now, when I say collaborate with other authors, you're looking at doing things like newsletter swaps or group promos, or just a simple thing of like, hey, you share my book inside your email marketing newsletter, and I'll do the same for you. So that's a newsletter swap is essentially what it is. And without that specific newsletter, you having something in place. And I mean, even if it's 5 subscribers, that's better than nothing, because you can't just show up and just say, hey, let's do a collaboration, and you talk to this author and they've got like 1,500 subscribers and you go, well, I don't have anything. Naturally, they're not going to want to work with you. They want to make sure they're working with somebody that it's going to be a good reciprocal exchange, if you will. So getting that email list is going to be a game changer. This is something I say is paramount to every broke author out there. You must start an email newsletter. And it doesn't matter how sexy it is. It doesn't need to be perfect. You don't even have to have a reader magnet to get things started. Just get it to where you start it now. Put a call to action inside your books. Put it on social media. Put it on your website. Tattoo it on your forehead if you wanted to. Although I wouldn't recommend it. That would be kind of goofy. Number 2, use book discovery sites. Now, when I say book discovery sites, we're talking like premium and free book promotion sites. Now, I've got an entire list, and I'm going to eventually curate and distill down my entire list of lists. Now, right now, it's a list of different free and premium promotion sites. It's at dalelinks.com/book promos. And I've said this a number of times in the past, and I've even shared it inside my books. This is a giant list of lists. So as soon as you think, oh, okay, I've got this list here of Dale's, no, you're going to have to go into each one of the lists on each one of those sites. You're going to need to sift through that. And you're going to need to find, first of all the free stuff. You just embrace it. Find the free stuff. Now, there's going to be some people that will argue like, well, it's free. How much can you get out of it? That's a good argument. But when you don't have any money, I think having some promotional services is better than none. And when you get ready to upgrade, you can always work your way away from these free ones. But for now, something's better than nothing. Now, what I would recommend for a lot of these sites is run a price promotion of some sort. It could be a free book promotion or it could be a discounted book promotion. Now, naturally, if you have KDP Select, you've got the 5-day free book promo, or you have the Kindle Countdown deal for 7 days in the US and the UK every 90 days. Now, if you happen to be going wide like I do, some sites will allow for scheduling a price promotion like Google Play Books or Kobo Writing Life do that. Dead simple process. You just go in there, you tell them how much you want the price reduction to be and when you want it to happen, and boom. You can always do it, manually if you wanted to, but if you're like me using a number of websites, sometimes that can be a little dicey because you could probably be done with your price promotion period and then realize like a month later, oh, I forgot to put those back up. Whereas, like I said, Google Play Books, Kobo Writing Life, you can just set it for that specific date. And as soon as that time and that promotion's done, it's off. It's finished. Number 3, get more reviews. So I said you got to build that email list. You got to use some of the free book promotions that are out there and available. And the other one is getting more reviews. Asking is free, folks. Free. And the reason why you need reviews is that's third-party credibility. That is the social proof that you need in order for most customers to make an informed purchase. I've spouted this one time and again, and I probably need to see about checking with Amazon advertising, but according to the Amazon advertising certification courses, 91% of customers check reviews before making a purchase. So that is site-wide, and yeah, that includes all products and not just books, but we can all agree that 9 out of 10 people checking your reviews makes a huge difference. If you don't have those reviews, it's time to get those things going now. One of the things you can also do with reviews is showcase snippets of reviews on your website, your book, social media, with your email list, even an Authors Central. That's a great position to put it at. Let's say you've got a Goodreads review that's not populated over on Amazon, or maybe you have an editorial review that was done over on like BookBub or Readsy or something like that. You can take that clip and put it into your Authors Central account over with that particular book to have it to be displayed. Or you can even share it inside your book description. But get it to where you have that social proof. So that way, when people come and discover this, they're not just hearing you saying, look at my book, it's fantastic. No, have somebody else say it for you. Number 4, guest blogging and podcast interviews. Now, I know there's going to be some people with a hard eye roll. I know David Gaughran is not a big fan of guest blogging. He said, it's a futile effort. It's not worth it. But when you don't have very much money, something, again, is better than nothing. I've lumped guest blogging and podcast interviews together because there's going to be some outreach involved in order for you to get, first of all, a guest blog post feature and, of course, getting podcast interviews. Now, super simple how you would do this. get used to using either Google as your friend or whatever your search engine might be, or use something as simple as artificial intelligence to help you source some more information about where you can find those guest blogging opportunities and podcast interviews. I would just simply go in. Let's say I'm a Werebear Shapeshifter romance novelist. I would simply look up podcasts for Werebear Shapeshifter romance and blogs about Werebear Shapeshifter romance, things like that. But you want to make sure that you're going through research, make sure it's a good fit. Don't start just blindly reaching out to these blogs and podcasts because some random bald guy on a podcast said you should probably do that. You want to do your due diligence. Make sure it's a good fit. Make sure that you're going to hopefully vibe with whoever you're working with, because it's one of the worst things is to try to, do something collaborative with somebody and they've got a personality of a fence post. You don't want to be dealing with something like that. What I would say is if you happen to be approaching somebody about a guest blog post, come with a game plan. Don't just go in and say, hey, can I write a guest blog post? The answer is always going to be no. But if you can just approach the relationship, first of all, A, how do you know them? What's the content that you enjoy most about them? And what do you bring to the table? Those three answers need to be done within one paragraph. Then pitch them 1 to 3 ideas for a guest blog post based on what you've seen in their specific website. You don't need to write the post, all right? Don't get ahead of the game here. Just put in some potential titles and put a brief description of each one of them. And when I mean brief description, like a sentence long. Make it dead simple for somebody when they're opening up your email saying, this is a good resource. Now, speaking of good resources, I've said this one time and again, I really should get a sponsorship with these guys, but it's podcastguests.com. I've landed dozens of interviews through podcastguests.com. It is a free newsletter service. Yes, they have some premium options in there. I upgraded at one point or another. I was unimpressed. I didn't get any more interviews than what I did without the specific premium service. So podcastguests.com essentially matches guests that are looking for podcasts and podcasts looking for guests. And twice per week on Mondays and Thursdays, it will send out an email broadcast with all the candidates that are available. Here's a little bit of something that will save you a little time. As soon as you see it come into your email inbox, go check it immediately. Check it immediately because you're going to want to make sure you apply for a specific podcast right away. In fact, I also have the form. It's pretty much the form is the same for all podcasts. You'll have your name, you'll have your email address, what experience you bring to the table, do you have your own podcast, things like that. You're going to fill it out the very first time. Make sure you hang on to that in Google Docs. Now, when you get an email from podcast guests, use this little trick. Control F. Literally, and if you're on Mac, by the way, it'd be Command F. So you're just going to find something and just type in the word authors. That's it. Authors. And then you should be able to just scroll through and see if there's anything in regards to authors. Now, if you have something specific to your niche, so let's go back to Werebear Shapeshifter Romance, what I would do is Control F, Werebear. And if I don't see any entries, boom, toss out that email. Bye, it's gone. I literally, as soon as I see a podcast guest's email, I'm tossing it out. Now, remember, there are over 30,000 people receiving this email. All right. And I think they've grown their list probably to 40,000 since that stat's probably been updated. And you want to make sure that you apply first, because I was speaking to someone who used podcast guests for their own podcast, and they said they were just literally hundreds of applications coming in. Thankfully, because I had got in early and I had applied early, I got in above this whole, essentially this slush pile, if you will, of applications. Number 5, local media and businesses. All right, so local media and businesses, I've talked about this a number of times, and a great interview, if you get the opportunity to go back inside my backlog of videos and interviews with Susan Montgomery. Oh my gosh, let me tell you something about this introverted author. She's absolutely incredible in what she's been doing. She recently had partnered with a local cat shelter / cafe. It's actually a cat cafe, believe it or not. And she helped them put together a book. Now, here's the beautiful part about this is, first of all, she's contributing to a great cause. And also, she's partnering herself with somebody that will, of course, market and promote her work for her. So this is putting her in a great position. Now, keep in mind, Susan's an introvert. She's probably not thrilled to have to go out and meet new people and set up, events with a cat cafe or even like the local church and things like that. But she does know that it's, first of all, free to do it and to get out and about. Now, as far as local media goes, it's just a simple case of trying to reach out to any of your local news stations, journalists, and such, and tell them what you bring to the table. Let them know you're an indie author and what your expertise is. And sometimes timing makes all the difference. So if you find that there's a relevant, world event that ties to your book, it's probably a good idea to reach out to a local journalist because they need news and you could provide that news and you could be that specific expert to raise things up. Big shout out though to Susan Montgomery. She is a great example of someone who's looking at more cost-effective options to get herself out there. Now, I've given you the free options. Let me give you some cheap options for book marketing and promotion. Number one, revisit my book promotion sites list for premium options. So I kind of cheated. I'm sorry. I gave you one in the free and I gave you another one inside the premium. But if you go through and you sift through that list, you find all the free options. And as you're going through those free options, put some of those premium options off to the side. There's a lot of premium services that don't require very much, like $10, $20, I think is like BookDoggy, which I've had great success with BookDoggy in the past. So just go through and sort through them. And even if it seems like it's too expensive now, remember that eventually you will afford something like that as long as you continue to grow your author brand. So you'll find those affordable options. Number two, premium author marketing tools. Now, this one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put 3 together on this. There are a ton of premium marketing tools out there for authors, but there are 3 of them in particular that you could spend either $10 per month or $100 per year. I'm going to start out with StoryOrigin. I'm a huge fan of StoryOrigin. I did an entire broadcast about StoryOrigins. If you want to find out more details about them, you can go back and look at that. Now, the StoryOrigin has so many things involved with it, including you can do newsletter swaps with other authors. You can do group promos with other authors. You can arrange beta feedback, a beta reading team through there. You can build an advanced reader copy team through them. You can distribute audiobook codes. You can do direct sales. There's so many things involved with StoryOrigin. Again, I did an entire episode about them. And another one that I did an entire episode about as well, ebook fairs. Very similar to StoryOrigin, but has different tools because it actually provides a virtual book fair. People come in, they get to vote for their favorite books, and they get entered for a chance to win, I think like a $100 or $50 Amazon gift card or something like that. Ebook fairs is fantastic. I've been using them for a while now, and I've actually contributed to a number of book fairs through them. And then one service I've not used, but I've heard so many good things about them, so I don't want to punch down on them, and I think it's important that we say them in the same conversation here. BookFunnel. BookFunnel is essentially the competitor to StoryOrigin. There are some things that StoryOrigin has that BookFunnel doesn't, and vice versa. So, for instance, BookFunnel has the ability to sell audiobooks directly through them. Now, it comes at a higher premium that goes beyond the $10 per month or $100 per year, but at least you know there are a couple of options out there for you. Number 3, Amazon ads. Now, a lot of people are going, wait, wait a minute here, Dale. You said cheap options, and I did say cheap options. Amazon ads, I started out using just $1 per day just to learn the process. Will you get hundreds of dollars per day in sales with $1 per day as far as an ad budget goes through Amazon advertising? Probably not. You'll be lucky if you break even. But what I would say is at least is putting your book in front of more eager buyers. And also it's going to help you build a little bit more relevance for your title and get it to where more people are exploring your page as opposed to no ads whatsoever. You can keep your cost per click pretty low if you'd like to. I mean, heck, keep it like around 35 cents or even lower than that if you wanted to. Will you get a lot of sales from it? Again, no. We get a lot of clicks from it? Possibly not, but it is something is better than nothing. If you want a deeper dive into Amazon advertising, I highly recommend that you go into the Amazon advertising certification courses. They update it on a regular basis. In fact, The most recent iterations of their certification programs are fantastic. They actually have videos. They originally was all reading and you had a few quizzes and things like that, but they've now added videos to a lot of their courses. Number 4, cover overhaul. Yeah, sometimes you're lacking the book sales, but maybe you're kind of doing your own book cover. And let's be honest, all right? If you are not a professional book cover designer, you're probably going to get it wrong. Yes, I know. There are exceptions to the rule. There are some folks out there that have a keen eye for graphic design. They know that. But by and large, 99%, and I know this is rather anecdotal and probably arbitrary for me to say 99% of authors don't know how to do their own covers. It's true. I've seen a number of times. In fact, I'd say 90% of the time when someone reaches out to me and they say they aren't having book sales, I look at their product page and I see the cover design. It's just not good. All right. And for you to say that you can't afford it means that you probably aren't informed about specific options out there. So I'm going to give you just one dead simple option. This is not a promotional spot. Yes, I'm an affiliate for them. And it's not a sponsorship agreement here. All right. Get Covers. Get Covers is a sister company for Miblart. You can get an ebook cover design for $10. You can get an ebook and print cover design for $20. And you can get a premium high grade option of that for $35 with a few extra bells and whistles involved in it. $10, folks, just to get the ebook cover done. $10, that's it. Like, you could literally be able to go and sell a handful of your books with the JoJo looking cover, take the money that you earn from that, go hire a professional cover designer over at Get Covers, and then you're good to go. By the way, dalelinks.com/getcovers, and I do have links to all of the referenced things inside the show notes as per usual. And then number 5, premium review services and sites. Let's go ahead and start it out with advanced reader copy team sites like Hidden Gems Books, NetGalley, and Book Sirens. Now, essentially, these sites function in that you bring your book to their site. They have a reader base that comes in and reads your book and then posts a review for it where you would like it to be done. Now, each of those will cost varying amounts. I will tell you that if you were to go to NetGalley directly, it's typically $550, I think, for 6 months. But if you go with a NetGalley co-op, it's like $500 for a year or $50 for the month. I know that may not be affordable for everybody out there. That's totally fine because we can go into the more affordable option of review exchange sites. Now, I've always been very reluctant to recommend review exchange sites, but I've seen that a lot of these sites are functioning according to Amazon's community guidelines. And that's the most important thing, because if you're getting book reviews done through these sites and services, you want to make sure, first of all, A, you're following their guidelines, and B, that the review is going to stay up. Now, review exchange sites include places like Pubbie, Get Authentic Book Reviews, Book Bounty, Jimzy, and so much more. I can give you for example, I do know that Get Authentic Book Reviews is probably the most cost-effective of the options. In fact, I think in all of March, they're going to be charging $3 per month in order to join them. It's normally, I think, $10 or $12. My apologies, I can't remember the cost off the top of my head. You can always use the link inside the description down below to go ahead and take a look. But just fair warning, with these review exchange sites like Pubbie, like Get Authentic Book Reviews, Book Bounty, and Jimzy, Book Blaze, and more, it's probably the safest bet for you to choose one and stick with it. There is a small risk that if you were to use multiple sites, that you will have an accidental direct exchange. Now, what do I mean by that? For a lot of these review exchange platforms, in order to remove the bias of the review, they will get it to where you do not review a book of somebody who has already reviewed you. So person A has their book. Person B goes and leaves a review for person A's book. Well, person A can no longer touch any of person B's books. Now, all of these platforms have these set in place. They have these safeguards to protect you. The issue is, because of privacy issues, because of the community guidelines, you really don't know specifically who is checking out your book and whatnot. So what ends up happening is if you go to another platform, person B could accidentally pick up person A's book because they're on both platforms, and therefore it puts that bias back into place. And then, of course, you're going to run afoul of Amazon's community guidelines. So, folks, be very careful when it comes to the Review Exchange platforms. I've checked with each one of these platforms, by the way, that I mentioned, and they are all above board. They are following Amazon's community guidelines, so you should be good to go. Hey, as we start to wrap things up, I want to, of course, give a big shout out to Book Award Pro. Want to win a book award but don't know where to start? Well, Book Award Pro finds the best award opportunity, submits your book, and makes the process effortless. I've won over 42 book awards, and you can too. Check it out through my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. As we start to wrap up, here are my final thoughts here. Now, if you're a broke author, hang in there. Hang in there. You have to be resourceful. You can't just simply look at somebody else and go, it must be nice. Dale can spend $100 per day in ads. It must be nice because this person has a large Instagram following. It must be nice. Remove all that negative mindset. If you're in a position in which money is an issue, then you need to step back and figure out, okay, what can I do with the resources I currently have, and what are the free options I have available to me that I can really maximize the most out of all of my movement for marketing and promotion. That's really the most important thing here, folks. So if you take anything away from this, you're a broke author, that's fine. It happens. We got to get past that. What can you do to really help move the needle? And it doesn't mean just going and getting one podcast interview and saying, well, I did a podcast interview and I sold no books. Well, yeah, you did one podcast interview. What do you want, a medal or the chest to pin it on here? You know, so I tell you, if you really want to see results, you have to go deep on it. You need to keep going to the well. Do you really need to have money to market and promote books, folks? No. While it certainly helps, it's not a hindrance for savvy and resourceful authors. You're broke. Okay, that's fine. But that doesn't stop you from being savvy and resourceful and resilient, most importantly. What authors really need, I'm going to tell you, more than anything, especially broke authors, is patience, willingness to do trial and error, and collaborations. Collaborate with other authors in your genre and niche. There's not going to be an author out there that's going to charge you to work with them. If they do, run away. That's probably not the author for you to work with. So just bear some of those things in mind here, folks. Next week, we're going to continue on inside this whole series, the comprehensive list of indie authors and selling books. Next week is going to be the 80-20 rule for authors. You familiar with the 80-20 rule? Let's share just a little bit more about how to focus on what sells. So that will be in next week's podcast. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale. Thank you so much for tuning in.